Welcome to episode 2 of Drift Biology. Today we're going to talk about everything safety in Formula Drift. We're going to suit Riley up in all his gear. He's going to be our model. We'll get him strapped in the car and go over all the details on what you need in your car if you want to compete in Formula Drift. All right, so in the safety stuff, I know you'd rather just drive in your underwear or something like that. That's fine.
Comfort is key.
Comfort is key. There's a lot of things you need to have on yourself as well as in the car. We're going to start with all the gear that Riley wears while he's in the car. Recently implemented a couple years ago.
Yep.
Hans device. How do you feel that does this limit you in the car at all? Because I know from rally, like in my rally days, it was terrible.
Yeah, I honestly thought it would be worse than it is. I mean, I know you can get different lengths of these straps, but originally when they implemented it, I'm like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to turn my head. I'm not gonna be able to see what's going on. But realistically, like the movement it gives you is more than enough to be able to see both shoulders. It's no problem.
Even a full lock, you can see.
Yeah. You know, if your head stops, you still have your peripheral to really get you the rest of the way. So it's honestly, in some cars, it's more the seat that limits it than the actual on.
For sure. All right, so this goes over your shoulders, then it attaches to your helmet. I guess the most common piece of safety, both for fire and impact. That helmet looks like it's been around the block.
This has seen some things, but you can see on the side here, these are the Hans posts just for this style connector. There's a few different ones they use. Some have like a little clip. Different brands use different ways. Anyways, this is the one that I use. It's just like a quick turn and lock it in. It's nice and easy to use. Not super special anything about this helmet. It's just your standard like Snell approved car racing helmet, normal vents and all that stuff. It has a couple feet, like you could put tear-offs on this if you're doing open wheel racing. It's got, unlike motorcycle helmets, like a lot of series will just make you wear a helmet. This has to be SA, Snell approved, which is like automobile approved.
Yeah,
so
SA is for
that's the
cars,
key,
automobile.
If it's Snell, M, whatever, that's motorcycle. So the way they design these are different. They are designed for an impact with a roll cage. Motorcycle helmets are designed for like a single impact or maybe 2 impacts with the ground. In this, your head can like pinball around in a roll cage. So the way these are built is slightly different. Also, these are made of like a Kevlar material, unlike a bike helmet. That's for fire resistance. Usually on a motorcycle, you're probably not engulfed in flames. So they change a few things with the car helmets to help with that. The eye port is a different size. There's actually a lot of differences that goes into a proper car racing helmet.
Right on. And then I'll hold this while you can show off your tuxedo there.
Yeah, my racing tux. So this is like full one-piece race suit, zips up in the front. It's got like a Nomex kind of fire retardant liner. It gives you a certain amount of essentially burn time before it gets down to your skin. Gives you just enough time to kind of get away from the situation, whatever it may be. It's got the rating on the back of it there. It changes for different years and different series and all that stuff. Anyways, this is an FIA approved one, Alpine Star. This is one of their higher end models, so it's actually quite light. If you felt some of the entry level suits, they have a good weight to them. This one has a lot of flex panels and breathing panels, like in all the arms and shoulders here. It's got a stretch/breathe panel, so key if you're in a blazing hot car for hours at a time.
For sure. Like, I know this is probably your second or third suit that you've bought, and this is a big step compared to the one you had before. We kind of got a really good deal on this Alpine Star.
Yeah, I got hooked up on this one for sure.
Would you suggest, I know my answer, but I'm going to ask you because it's all about FD. Would you suggest buying a suit that's a few extra $100 more just to get the cooler suit, or would you go with the cheaper suit?
Looking back on it now, it is 100% worth the investment to buy a higher end suit. You don't have to go crazy and spend $5,000 on a suit.
Don't need the F1 suit.
Just the basic, like the biggest difference for me was heat management. The basic suits are made of a different material. They're heavier, they're thicker, they don't breathe as well, they don't have as much like stretch panels. So with the higher end suit, immediately I noticed right away, I'm so much cooler in the car, and it makes it so much easier to focus. And when you're constantly just sweating, I mean, I still get hot, don't get me wrong, but when you're constantly just like overheating and sweating, it's really hard to maintain focus. So a suit like this just takes that away, the one extra thing away that can affect your driving. So in my opinion, looking back on it now, it's worth every penny.
Awesome. All right, so then the last few things that Riley actually wears on his body.
Yep.
Racing shoes and or boots, kind of standard. Everybody wears them, doesn't matter where you race.
Yeah, I mean, even if they don't allow it or like mandate it, it's super nice. They have a rolled heel on them, which makes moving your feet around, and just the toe is very small and thin. It makes feeling the pedals really nice. They're really compact, so you don't kind of trip over yourself when you're trying to do all the fancy footwork.
Yeah. Gloves are a must.
Yep.
I know some people wear them every day when they drive.
I have a suede wheel in my car, so I wear gloves every day when I drive, no matter what year. But these ones are, again, they have like a Nomex liner for some fire protection. And just the material on the actual palm, these have a few miles on them now, but they help grip the wheel. So if you were to use a suede wheel with your bare hand, it's not bad, but the way these new gloves are designed, it's almost like Velcro on the steering wheel.
Yeah, you don't need to squeeze the wheel. You can just like put your hands on it and you'll still have lots of grip.
Yep.
And then I guess the last piece, the piece of the puzzle that kind of ruined your beard for everybody.
Yeah, my favorite Greek dessert, baklava. So this is one of the reasons I had to trim this down so much is the not new rules, but FD mandates you have to wear a fire retardant balaclava to help with any kind of like facial burns. Unfortunately, if you have a foot-long beard and you try and tuck this in your race suit, it doesn't fit. So I had to do a bunch of trimming to keep this tucked in my suit comfortably and keep kind of my face from getting all scratchy and terrible. So there's a few different ways. This has a single eye port. The Euro dudes always seem to like the thing down the middle, which is kind of cool, but I don't know how well it would work with glasses. So this is kind of what I'm stuck with.
Awesome. Well, let's get you suited up and in the car. All right, Riley, it's a tight squeeze in there and not room for both of us, so I'll stand out here and hold the camera. Arm restraints, first thing's kind of a little bit different.
Yep, so this is a rule they do kind of more in the high-end Pro Series from what I've seen. Also, it's because we don't run windows. So in FD, if you have windows or window nets, you don't have to run arm restraints, but it's nice to have open windows for the ventilation. So I would rather put these on than have to deal with a like fogged up interior. So anyway, these attach to the harness, which you can't quite see, but they go on my lap belt and then around my elbows. That's where I like to keep them. And they let you get enough movement for stuff in the car, but it's hard for your arms to like fly out of the car. These are set up a little loose right now because I had them off of the harness, but ideally it keeps your arms from being able to fly out of the windows if you were to roll end over end over end over end over end.
Cool. And the Hans device there just sits underneath the belt.
Yes. So the Hans is held in with the harness. So especially, you know, when you're just sitting here, it's not super crazy tight, but in the event of a crash, when the harnesses are pulling tight against you, it locks the Hans in place, and your head can only go maybe this far, so you don't get the whatever basal fracture or whatever that is.
I find it good when you need a little nap.
Yeah, you can take a great nap in this car actually, because you're fully harnessed in, and then you just rest on the Hans and take a snooze in between practice sessions. It's fantastic.
All right, and I guess one thing we're going to talk about is fire suppression. Can you reach that with your arm restraint? How it is?
Yeah. So this is our little, in case of fire, pull that. If there's not a fire, do not pull it. We've seen what happens. It makes a mess. But yeah, if there is a situation where there's a fire inside the car or outside the car and you can't do anything about it, pull this, undo everything, and get out.
So, roll cage. Let's start with the roll cage.
Yeah, so this is the FD spec cage. The guidelines for the cage, like tubing diameter and where everything has to go, is all outlined in the FD rule book. They have a certain specification they want you to kind of build it to. There's a few options for certain things. We have these style door bars. Some guys run an X. This is what they call a NASCAR style door bar, and the nice thing about this is because it curves out into the door, it gives you more room for your elbows. I don't know if you've ever hit your elbow off of a roll cage while you're driving, but it really hurts. So this is a nice way to get a little extra room without compromising any kind of safety. Also down in this corner here, we have what's called an anti-intrusion bar. And basically this is so if something hits the front wheel or the front corner, it can't crunch your feet in the pedal box. And this is very key to what we do because of how far the track width is in the front and
That's definitely an FD problem because
Yeah.
the wheels can turn so far.
You're always at full lock, and if you hit something at full lock at a good speed, the front wheel is just going to come right through the firewall, basically. So this helps keep your feet safe. I've seen cars without them hit stuff, and you would not believe how much damage the pedal box suffers. So the last thing you want is like a broken ankle because your clutch pedal decided to move stage right very quickly.
I guess the seats. FD cars always have 2 seats.
Yeah. Yeah, the rules say you have to have a passenger seat. Both are FIA spec seats. Driver's seat has a few different requirements than a passenger seat does. That's just kind of the minimum FIA spec seat. This has a head containment or halo seat, whatever you want to call it. That's a fairly new rule for FD as well, but just added safety measures for your head. If you look up here, there's also padding. So we do it on both sides. This is high density foam. So right now it's rock solid, but if your head hits it at 100 miles an hour, it's a good cushion versus a metal pipe. And basically the rules are you just have to put it anywhere your body or your head or whatever could come in contact with the roll cage tubing. So that's also a must have for most motorsports with a roll cage.
Is that a nitrous bottle, Riley? Or
So that is, although it has been called a nitrous bottle by a bunch of people, that's actually our fire extinguisher tank. So that is plumbed into a series of hard lines that run throughout the car, in the cockpit, in the trunk, in the engine bay. There's nozzles all over the car basically. So when you pull this, it can put out a fire in multiple places at the
there's
same time.
one pointing right at the fuel cell. So if you have a fuel fire,
Yeah, it basically takes care. So if there's an oil fire, fuel fire, whatever, anything inside the cabin, it takes care of it all. No matter what's on fire, it's getting put out. But it all comes from that centrally mounted tank in the back there.
All right, normally it's the exciting part under the hood, but it looks like it's kind of all taken apart.
Yeah, a little bit. Got to get it ready for next year. But continuing on with the fire suppression theme, they're really tough to see because they're kind of hidden, but there's 2 blue nozzles back here, and they direct the fire retardant right at the engine. So whether it's fuel, oil, whatever, it'll put it out, and it'll basically engulf the whole engine bay to snuff out anything leaking anywhere.
All right.
That you want.
And if there's an electrical issue,
So bring you guys over here to the kill switch. So this kills everything. As soon as you flip this switch off, no matter what it is, it cuts off all the electrical supply to everything, from the alternator, you name it. Because even if the car were to crash and the engine keeps running, the alternator can keep pumping out juice. So this has to cut the supply to everything. And it's accessible from the outside with the hood closed. It's clearly marked so that people know where it is. So if a track worker has to shut it off, boom, hit it, everything's dead.
all right. So that's a basic rundown on all the safety items. Once you get all that done, you build the car, you take it to your first FD event. Probably the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it's incredibly stressful.
Through professional drifting now.
Yeah.
Is the technical inspection. Got to meet our good friend Kevin Wells
Yeah.
for the first time, and we showed up with a brand new car with what we thought was absolutely perfect,
Not so.
and it was not.
Nope.
That man knows his rule book front to back, and Formula Drift is super serious about safety.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the premier drifting series in the world, so they take everything incredibly seriously.
We had a kind of a different bash bar design that didn't pass tech, and at the time I was like, what the hell, it's a big deal. But now that I look at it from a safety standpoint, I understand why they have the rules as they are.
Yeah, all the rules. There's a reason for all of them, even if they seem silly.
Yeah.
There is a reason for all the rules that they put in place.
Sure. Keeps it also the competition fair for everybody.
Yep.
Tire size is mandated by weight of the car, or in Pro 2 is everybody, there's a minimum weight, which is,
Minimum weight 29 with driver?
29 with driver, so 28.
That sounds right.
I can't remember, but we were like right there.
We're there.
We had, that was the first warning we got, because the first thing they do is they roll your car on the scale. First thing he said is, when you're done a run, your car will be underweight.
Yeah.
The amount of tires the car will consume, you'll be underweight. So we actually had to add a tiny little bit of ballast to the car to make it perfect within.
Yeah,
the
which isn't a
rules.
bad thing. It's better to have to add a little bit, and
Yeah.
you know, you can't take it out, so that's good.
Anyways, so I guess that's a wrap. That's kind of, it's not super exciting, I understand, but these are the kind of steps you need to take if you're going to compete in the highest level. You can't just show up in a hoopty car
Yep.
with like a janky cage. I mean, they check over everything. Kevin was in there checking that all the angles on the bars were correct, and I mean, even subframe spacing.
Yep.
We had to make an adjustment to our subframe because it was out by 2 thou or something like
Yeah.
that.
There's no detail that goes unnoticed. So if it's in
Yeah.
the rule book, you better have it perfect on your car. Otherwise, Kevin will catch it and he will put the fear of God in you.
Awesome. Thanks for watching. We always love your comments. Subscribe. Let us know what you think. You know, if you think this was terrible, tell us.
Yeah, please.
Well, you just want this to be as informative for everybody, so other people can move up through the ranks and end up with the top end of drifting.